I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. It is Monday, January 5th. Here we go. Your Seattle Seahawks are the #1 seed in the NFC, and they've got a path to the Super Bowl. Put that in your pipe and smoke it on this glorious Monday, January 5th. I know everyone's been hitting the sauce hard here in the last few days. We are excited. It's going to be a great week. We're back to our regular schedule programming after the last 2 weeks of having shows here and there. We appreciate it. Hopefully everyone had a great holiday break, but we are back, and the Seahawks are back as the #1 overall seed in the NFC since, 2014? Been 11 years. We're going to cover it all today and throughout the week, and, of course, throughout the playoffs, and we do so. Thank you to Limback Lumber. We're inside the Limback Lumber Studios. Contractors, they offer free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects, largest stock moldings in the Northwest, old school service. They've been doing it since 1930. Give them a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them, limbacklumber.com. Visit me on social media. It's Puck Sports everywhere except for TikTok. It's Puck_sports. And find everything at pucksports.com, including signing up to become a Pucks Posse member. You support everything we do here free daily on the Daily Puck Drop. Plus, we give you bonus shows every single week, like KJ Arntz on Thursday with Mitch Levy and Inside Pitch with Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times. Now, you don't have to pay extra for this guy, but I'm telling you, based on his football acumen and his prediction what was going to happen on Friday, ladies and gentlemen, the John Madden of football. It's the go-to guy, Jim Moore. And he's so powerful, he's brought to you by not one, not two, but 3 sponsors.
I'll tell you, Puck, I think I have this perception from people out there that, they think I'm a loser when it comes to gambling. But I'd like to point out that I accurately forecasted the Seahawks victory, which, a lot of people did because they were favored. But I made it my smoking lock of the week. Right. And I also, in addition to that, maybe you're sitting there going, God, Jim just knows the NFL. No, I know college football too. I won a college football bowl pool last Friday night. $1,200.
$1,200.
I mean, so everybody who thinks I'm a loser, generally you can be right, but
why don't you send that to Ryan Divish and Alex Akita? How much money have they won?
I was thinking about it though. I won a 3-team parlay for $1,200, that college football bowl pool for $1,200, and Rory and the Masters for $9,000.
Oh,
yeah, I've had a good year.
You are cleaning up.
Go Cougs.
JimWins.com.
Can I go with that? You think Troy would allow that? Or is that some sort of copyright infringement on him?
I don't think so. I think you should do it.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
How about
listen,
JimWinsSometimes.com. All right, go ahead.
Let's get to the Seahawks here. First of all, I want to thank Brian Turner for his continued support with a clean streak. The roof cleaning business in Oak Harbor, the gutter cleaning business in Oak Harbor. He'll pressure wash your driveway too. You're going to love Brian Turner. Okay. So give him a call and get a free estimate. They'll come out. They'll do just about anything. And Brian's such a good guy. 360-395-5748 or visit acleanstreak.com. You've heard me talk about Brad Brotherton for good reason. He's a loyal, devout Coug. And he owns Brotherton Cadillac and Shoreline and Brotherton Cadillac and Brotherton Buick GMC in Renton. As a family-owned dealership with deep roots in the community, Brotherton Auto is more than just a place to buy a car. They'll be your automotive partner for life, committed to exceeding your expectations. Visit brothertonauto.com. And the Angry Beaver is the place to be when you watch Jason Puckett's Smoke and Lock go down to defeat tonight. Montana State against Illinois State. At 4:30, Montana State laying 10.5. You'll be there at happy hour at the Angry Beaver. $2 off menu items and all the drinks. And by the way,
it's 10. The spread is 10.
I was 11.5 on rebet. I took Illinois State.
Well, I don't care. I'm not going on rebet. It's 10. The spread is 10. That's what I said on Friday.
Oh, okay. All right. You want to go an extra 20 on that?
No, I do not want to do anything.
Why not?
Good. Because I've not bet well against you lately. I'm taking a break.
Okay, listen, I have good news, and I've shared it with you, and I want to share it with our listeners. The Angry Beaver is the place to go, and I told you that you could get free shots of Jägermeister from Matt Baker. I've heard from people. I heard from one anyway, and then I heard from Matt. People took him up on the free shots of Jägermeister.
Good.
So show up at the Angry Beaver and have a great time and have a free one on Matt. All right, the Angry Beaver in Greenwood.
There you go. Thank you to Angry Beaver. Thank you to Brotherton Cadillac. Thank you to Brian Turner there at Bright Owl Lighting. And, of course, a clean streak. How about that one? And I think we accurately predicted exactly what was going to happen. Your Seahawks, the number 1 seed there in the NFC.
When did we predict that? In September, we predicted that?
I think so, when we were discussing what their – think about it. I mean, remember when Vegas came out in the beginning of the season? It was 7.5. It eventually went up to 8.5. But the very first initial over-under that came out was 7.5.
Well, and it looked pretty obvious to go over 7.5,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you and I both know that those guys in Vegas are pretty good at what they do. And so even though here in Seattle, we thought, well, man, I think they're short selling the Seahawks a little bit this year. There was a part of me that was going, God, those guys are usually right. So I'm not so sure you want to go on the over, but boy, they destroyed the over just like they destroyed the 49ers.
It's so weird in a game in which you're right. They did destroy the Niners. I think we can say that now. It was one of those games where I kept thinking, God, they keep hanging around, put them out of their misery. Like you didn't feel like the Niners were going to actually come back. But again, at times during that game, they were just one play away from being within 3 or tying. Just something, spooky, weird happens. Christian McCaffrey, a busted coverage. That's all that was like preventing Seattle and San Francisco from being tied or a much closer game. And you look back and you go 13-3. That doesn't seem like a blowout. Now you factor in the 2 Myers misses. Hopefully he's got that out of his system. And the one where he kicked it out of bounds too. And then, the fact that they didn't go, I mean, they get the field goal, but they didn't get the field goal because they went for it on 4th down. They didn't get the first drive in which they marched right down the field. So they left a lot of points out there, but you don't think a 10-point victory is domination, but it was domination in every sense, form, fashion, everything.
Well, it's funny. I had that feeling. And sometimes I have these feelings and I'm way off, but on this one, it was accurate for a change. But even when the Niners got down to the 10 and it was 13-3 at the time.
Yeah.
And if they score there or even get the field goal 13-6, 1-score game, 13-10, then you can really get nervous. I was fully confident the Seahawks were going to hold them to a field goal. I didn't expect a Drake Thomas interception or anything like that, but it just had one of those. It reminded me of when the Mariners played in Houston. It was, for me anyway, and I think for maybe a lot of people would agree with this, it was a changing of the guard kind of time. When it's always one of those things where you're trying to get by a team, you can't get by them, and then finally that one night or that one day shows up when, okay, this is when it's going to happen. And it just seemed that way to me. And the Mariners, as I recall, they swept the Astros in Houston and they took over the lead in the division. And that had the same feeling to me, what happened Saturday night in Santa Clara.
A little bit more dominance, though, we would agree, from what Houston had over Seattle in the division, right? It wasn't like San Francisco has been winning this division 8 straight years. No,
but yeah, you get the same kind of feeling that San Francisco's had the upper hand, don't you, lately?
Well, for sure. Against Seattle,
series?
Yeah. This has been the team that's, along with the Rams, I mean, that was part of it, the end of the Carroll era and tenure, that they couldn't keep up with McVay and Shanahan. And we talked about the reason they hired Macdonald. One of the biggest reasons was to counter what those two guys were doing in their division. And he's done that. This year, he was able to do that.
Oh, he's been awesome. It's one of those things, too, where I think the national perspective of the Seahawks is like, yeah, they're really good up there in Seattle, but we're not so sure that they're better than the Rams. And we're not even sure if they're better than the 49ers, because look at what the 49ers have been doing lately with that offense. It's been averaging 42 points a game the last 3 weeks. And we'll just have to see about Seattle and San Francisco having the home field in that game. And it was interesting, though, because that line shifted quite a bit, and Seattle was favored going into the game for good reason.
Well, and then again, I know they had a bunch of injuries with Trent Williams and then Ricky Pearsall not being available and all that. But you mentioned it. That offense had come in humming. I mean, absolutely on fire. And they made them look incompetent. I mean, there was
Well, didn't it
Again,
remind you of the Super Bowl too when the Seahawks faced Denver? How
I think
high-flying they were.
I think a little bit of it. Just that Denver team was much more. They were healthy, and they were. I mean, that was the best offense the league had ever seen, like it historically. But a little bit of that. I just think the tackling, the tackling from this team is every time they dump the ball out, every time they'd wrap them up, they drop them for a loss. They never missed anything. They never had any missed assignments. There was a few times they probably could have got Purdy down, and they didn't. And I know that he didn't play great. He didn't play awful. That son of a bitch is so tough. That kid is one of the toughest quarterbacks in this league. He took a pounding and kept getting up and trying to make plays for his team. But I mean, that defense to hold them to 3 points, 173 yards. They shut out McCaffrey. McCaffrey was a non-factor. What did he get? 73 yards, 57 yards, 57 total yards for Christian McCaffrey. So, I mean, defensively, it's a cliche. And everyone talks about defense wins championships. But I mean, when you have, and I think we agreed on Friday, the difference between Seattle's defense and the San Francisco 49ers defense was I think what we said, it was a crater, right? It was the Grand
Well, it was
Canyon.
huge compared to the difference between Seattle's offense and San Francisco's offense.
Exactly. And so that ultimately was going to be the difference. And then at the time we said special teams, they're much better. Now, again, Jason Myers had one of his worst games of the season, or his worst game of the season. But yeah, their defense is just so much better. And I think anytime you have a premier defense and a premier offense, I think a lot of us are going to side with that defense. And they came through, and it just checked all the boxes. They ran the ball great. That's a trend that they have continued. Sam Darnold, to your prediction, he's not going to have a turnover. He didn't have a turnover.
He tried though on that one play.
He did try.
I don't know if it really would have been. That would have been an accident though, and you could have written it off.
Yeah, but that's his fault.
What? It might have been Sundell's fault that he got his foot tied up there.
Well, he could have just ate the ball, not tried to hand it off. But you're right, because I was about to say he didn't have anything that he put it in harm's way. He didn't have a throw he put in harm's way, except for actually one, right? The second half, when he rolled out to his left, might have been on that final drive where he tried to hit JSN. JSN tipped it up, and then the DB caught it but only got 1 foot. And so that might have been one. But other than that, no, he was just efficient, made the right plays, and again, checked off another box there for Darnold.
Well, his biggest mistake, I thought, was the first and goal play where he got sacked.
Oh.
And there's not a quarterback in the league that you know better than that. And I know that breakdowns on the line, Bradford, whoever allowed the guy to come in to get him, but you got to throw that ball away. You just can't afford a sack.
What I don't understand
when you have the ball on the 1 yard line, and then they botched that whole thing. I was surprised when they went for it on fourth down from the 4 yard line.
But he looked at Charbonnet. He looked at Charbonnet and right away and had him open.
Well, yeah.
Why didn't he? Why didn't he just throw it? He was wide open. I think you go back to that play. I said it right afterwards. That was terrible coaching. It was awful coaching. You're first and goal from the 1 yard line. You're averaging 6 yards a carry on the ground. That was a mistake of Kubiak getting way too cute, and McDonald. That was way too cute.
Yeah,
you don't agree with that? Come
on.
They
would argue that they're loading the box, and so they weren't expecting a pass. But
you're first and goal from
the 1. Are if you hand the ball off 4 straight times from the 1. You're going to get in. You could have had a quarterback sneak.
You could have had Barner come in and do the sneak, but they were able to get through that. They dominated on the line. I mean, their offensive line was just sensational. Ray Zabel was mauling people down left and right. Everything they wanted to do. Here's going to be the things that make us, you and I, just the real aficionados of football. If they continue to run the ball like that and play defense, I think they're going to win the whole thing. Now, you may not hear that anywhere else today. I'm just telling you, let us be the first people to tell you. If you average 6 yards a carry on the ground and you'll hold the team to 3 points, plan the parade.
Well, I suppose it's easy to say when you're sitting in Seattle watching this team and you know more about the team than somebody in Denver or somebody in Charlotte or wherever. But do you see another team out there in the AFC or the NFC that you feel is better than the Seahawks? And your answer has to be no. It has to be no, because of the running game you're talking about, because of Darnold coming through and getting rid of his demons. I mean, so far, so good with that. He's handled that after the first Rams game. He finally came through in the second Rams game in the fourth quarter and overtime. This was a week where he might have screwed up like he did with the Vikings against the Lions last year. He got through that. And then the Seattle defense, nobody has a better defense of those playoff teams that are out there. So, yeah, and oh, God, you're going to jinx it. Well, I always think it's so funny. So, don't jinx it, Jim. I'm going, do you really think the football gods are up there going, Jesus Christ, there's this white-haired guy in Bend, Oregon that's saying the Seahawks are going to win it all? Well, we can't let that happen.
Yes, I believe in it all the time. If they were playing the Seahawks were playing well in the first half. I've got people texting me at a bar nearby. Why don't you come over here at halftime? I'm like, I'm not moving from my seat.
Not you're superstitious about it?
Yes, I'm superstitious as hell.
Who's better than the Seahawks?
Well,
which team is better, though? And I know any given day, these other 13 playoff teams could beat the Seahawks. But which team is going to do it? Which team they're going to be favored in every single game they play. The two at home for sure. In the Super Bowl, they're going to be favored. The NFC is going to be favored over the AFC. I mean, it's just my opinion. But
would you like me to answer now? You've asked the question 4 different times and then continue to ramble on like a drunken
I don't know.
old
I'm excited about the damn thing because usually, you look at the Seahawks or especially the Mariners and you go, God, how are they going to blow it? With the Seahawks, I don't look at them and go, how are they going to blow it? But go ahead. I don't know. I usually don't talk this much, but go ahead.
Can I go ahead now, or are you going to still talk?
It's not the JimSports.com podcast. It's the PuckSports.com.
You've told me
podcast.
5 times. Go ahead and talk. And then every time
I know my place. I'm the sidekick. I'm just a part-time sidekick.
Okay. Can I just mute you for a second? Okay. Now, this is not the time to do this because we're celebrating the number 1 overall seed. But are you not nervous about playing the LA Rams in the divisional round? I'm nervous as hell. I'll be a wreck. That's the one team that can end all of this. There's one team and one team only that is left in the NFC and then when they get to the Super Bowl. So you ask me, is there a team that's better than them? Well, I don't know if they're better, but they're equal. And here's the thing. I mean, it took, you want to call it lucky, fluky, whatever you want to describe it. It took Zach Charbonnet to go like, well, I should pick up the ball for the ref to hand it to him for them to beat the Rams. All right. So that's the one game that should make every Seahawks fan nervous. I don't care what happened in the last game. That team is as equal and in some areas better. That offense is better than their offense, clearly. I mean, there's not a debate on that. Now, I think the Seahawks defense is better than theirs, but the quarterback play is everyone would take Matt Stafford over Sam Darnold. So we need to pray to the football gods. If you know a Niners fan, start sending them money. We need the Niners to win. We need the Packers to win. Just please, for the love of God, win. So we do not have to face that team in the divisional round.
Okay, well, wait a minute. You're completely dismissing that Carolina can beat them this week.
I know they beat them earlier this year. They are 10.5-point favorites. So I don't give Carolina actually much of a shot. But I'm going to root for hell and Dave Canales and everyone over there. Sure. And did they prove that they've already beaten them once? Absolutely. Playoffs, it's just a different animal and all of that. And that's the one team that is standing in the way of this team in a month, little over a month or so, 6 weeks of having a parade again. That's the team. And what's just the cruel reality of it is of how they seed the playoffs is that the one team that you're most fearful of is the team you have to see in probably the divisional round. Most likely. I mean, you don't even get to the championship.
You're thinking the 49ers will lose to the Eagles then, and the Packers will lose to the Bears.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got a quick one here to interject, a proposal that I would have, and I want to see what you would think. I don't think, we all generally agree that a team like Carolina should not be hosting a playoff game just because they won a division, their record is so bad. My contention is that, Hey, look, okay, in the future, if you finish with a record that's above 500, like if Carolina had finished 9-8 or 10-7, fine, you can host a playoff game. But if you're under 500, in no way in hell should you be able to host the playoff game.
I think that's already something under consideration. If I go back to last week's show with Garofolo, I think that's something the league is looking into.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't be rewarded. I mean, 8 and 9, and you're playing all those bad teams in your division, and the most you can come up with is 8 wins.
I think it's simpler than that, Jim. I just think it should go based on record. That's just, to me, it shouldn't go based on winning the division. It should go based on record. And yeah, will there be some years that a team's got a better record because of the division they played in? Yeah, I mean, obviously, probably. But the seeds should look like the best records, right? That's what it should be. It should just be based on records.
Well, and then does Carolina
should be hosting Carolina?
If Carolina continues on in the playoffs, do they continue to be the 4 seed? I guess so. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina shouldn't host LA. LA with 12 wins in the toughest division in football should be at home and not having to go on the road against an 8 and 9 Carolina team. Shouldn't happen.
I'm with you, though. The only team that you're going to be confident if you're a Seahawks fan, if you face them 2 weeks from now, is Carolina. The other 3, I think you'd be nervous about. And you're going to be really nervous for the Rams. I would still say that I'd be pretty nervous for the 49ers because Shanahan's going to cook up something different when he comes in. And then Green Bay, the Packers, they've had issues with Jordan Love. I don't know. The Packers would still worry me if they came in here.
I think the mystique of the Packers worry a little bit, but Jordan Love's been injured. They haven't played great. They've been on kind of a downward spiral. What's his name? Parsons is gone, so you don't have to worry about him. I think the mystique of Green Bay would I think worry a lot of people, but I think once the game starts, the talent on the field, I think that would be a I don't want to say a real easy win. I don't think any of this stuff's going to be easy in the playoffs, obviously. But I think I'd feel real confident about that. For the Niners, because it's a divisional opponent. They know you better than anyone else. And Shanahan's great. And he'll have, if they were to face him, he'll have a bunch of different game plans for him. But again, it's the defense. Their defense isn't getting healthier. And that's their biggest issue. Look what you just did to them. Again, that they should have scored about 27 points. And really, all those mistakes were self-inflicted. Nothing San Francisco did. It was all what Seattle didn't do. So
that's the most dominating 10-point win I can think of.
But the Rams, I'm peeing down my leg to face them again. I just don't want to see it. Not in the first round.
No,
God,
first
no.
round. Yeah. But, history shows that the Seahawks have made it every time they've been a number 1 seed. And
I know, but then there's everyone keeps saying that, and this comes back to me being superstitious, right? Everyone keeps saying that. Oh, every time they've got the number 1 seed, they've always made it to the playoffs. And all I'm thinking is, shut up. Everyone shut up. Stop saying that. Because I'm thinking but it can't last forever, can it? It's just gonna come crashing to win. Please stop saying that all the time because everyone's gonna say the same thing. I guarantee it's the number 1 thing. John and Phil have said at the water cooler today to Elizabeth, who doesn't watch football. Hey, Elizabeth, the Seahawks every time they've got the number 1 seed, they made it to the Super Bowl every year, huh? Bet you didn't know that, huh? Yeah, I'll take another cup of coffee. God, that John really knows his football.
There's still doubters out there, though. You know how I watch those yelling shows in the morning? I watch Get Up this morning.
Who's the yelling show is doubting them? They've doubted the
Get Up and then Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is everybody on the panel there. Orlovsky, Ryan Clark. They were saying, "Oh, Sam Darnold. He's good to go now that he's made it through some of these obstacles he's had in the past." And Stephen A. Smith is like, he's got to show it to me in the playoffs. But Orlovsky was saying, well, he wasn't so sure about the Seahawks because they're better on the road than they are at home. And I haven't heard that. I mean, I know how good they are on the road, but I still think you want to be playing at Lumen Field and have the bye and have only 2 games to win to go to the Super Bowl.
How many games did they lose at home?
So 2 of the guys took the Rams. Rex Ryan was the only one who took the Seahawks to win.
How many games did the Seahawks lose at home?
2.
San Francisco and Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
So they won.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So
6-2
that was his
at home.
That was his rationale because they lost
6-2 at home, and they hammered Arizona, the Saints. They clobbered Minnesota.
This is the same group that I told you when you were over there slobbing them over the weekend about how great these guys are. They're talking the Seahawks up left and right. And then minutes later, they do a whole segment on the coach of the year.
Yeah.
These are paid NFL professional talkers. And they didn't mention Mike Macdonald one time.
He didn't get
They
mentioned
talked
at all.
about Liam Cohen.
Okay, good candidate there.
Come on. They this.
Well, Vrabel's the odds-on guy. I think I heard that
Hey.
McDonald's the second betting favorite.
What was the Patriots projected over-under to start the season? Do you know what it was?
I do not.
Yeah, the same as Seattle. So
yeah.
why is Mike Vrabel getting so much respect? But then no. Look at the turnaround Mike Vrabel did, but not Mike Macdonald. That doesn't make any sense.
It's just because the Patriots are a better known team, and it's because of where we are in the country. I mean, we're just tucked away up in
the Patriots were at
corner.
8.5 wins, the same as Seattle. We are acting like Seattle was predicted to be in this position of the NFC Championship game and going 14-3. No one called that. Vegas again started at 7.5, finished at 8.5. The same as the New England Patriots, who by the way have the easiest schedule in the NFL. And he's done an amazing job. He's going to win Coach of the Year because it's the Patriots, because people like that sit on the panel, so they influence the people that vote on. That's fine. He's going to win it. Fine. And here's the thing with Vrabel. He's deserving of it. So is Mike Macdonald. So is Liam Cohen. They're all deserving of it, really. But let's not.
The Seahawks beat that Jacksonville team.
I know, but let's not.
And they've won 8 in a row now. But still, I mean, that's another feather in the cap for Mike Macdonald there. If you want to factor in different tiebreakers,
let's not act like when we put these two teams up, like what people thought before the season. It's not like people thought New England was going to win 2 games, and Seattle was supposed to win 12. Because it always goes to the coach who led the team that overachieved. Well, they were predicted by Vegas to the same win total. So
I forget what New England was last year, though. I mean, they only won 4 or 5 games, didn't they?
Yeah, well, sure. But
yeah,
Vegas didn't take much of Seattle.
The Seahawks won 10. It's just like we've talked about with Schneider. The Seahawks haven't ever been so bad that they could make a big enough rebound to get him the Executive of the Year award. And we all agree that he should factor highly in that, and probably should win it with the moves that he has made to get this team to be where it is. And we all know that he won't win it.
Well, the Seahawks got the best odds to win the Super Bowl. In fact, it's the Seahawks and Rams are the 2 best odds. Seahawks are plus 350, Rams at plus 425. It's followed by the Broncos at plus 650. Then it's the Patriots and Eagles at 950. Then it's the Bills at 10-1, Texans and Jags 13-1, Bears and Packers 22-1, Chargers 49ers 28-1, Steelers 45-1, Panthers 150-1. And the Athletic had this in their story today. Seahawks 48.3% chance to win the NFC, 24.1% to win the Super Bowl. By far and away the best odds of anyone. The Rams are second at 20% to win the NFC.
Okay, I know we're talking about who you want them to face 2 weeks from now. The better chance for them to advance into the NFC Championship game.
Correct.
Can we have a little fun for just a second here?
I'd like to have fun. Who doesn't like to have fun?
Who do you want to play in the Super Bowl?
Oh, Broncos.
The Broncos? Yeah. Not the Patriots?
Broncos.
Okay. Why the Broncos
again? One more time. Because here's the thing. There's no revenge on that. I've heard that being thrown out. Well, it's going to be revenge for what happened in 2014. No one's on the team anymore. It's just new head coach.
I know, but we'll be talking about it, won't we?
But it's never, ever, 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 ever going to make up for what happened in 2014. For me.
It'll help.
Not really.
Is Denver not the flimsiest 1 seed you've ever seen?
Yeah. Well, look at the AFC. I mean, this is why I'm talking about the Rams. Because that's it. That is it for these guys. It's the Rams. And maybe fluky things will happen. And I'm just saying if they stay healthy and all that. But it's the Rams. That's the team that everyone should be scared of. That's why
I know
you need
the Seahawks will be favored in the Super Bowl over all 7 of those
Look
teams.
at those teams. Who the fuck scares you from the AFC? The Broncos? Nope. Steelers? Nope. Texans? Nope. Beat both those teams already. You beat the Jags. Bills? Nope. Patriots? Not really.
Wouldn't the Bills worry you? The Bills would worry you a little bit, wouldn't they?
No, because Josh Allen. Yeah, probably. Well,
I love Jacksonville as a home dog against Buffalo.
The Bills would be the one I don't want to see in the Super Bowl because I really want the Bills to win it if it's not Seattle, because for their fans and Allen and all that. But
four times in a row where they didn't.
Hey, coaches, before you go, coach is getting fired today. It's a Black Friday. Your guy Chomping Pete's out after 1 year. That doesn't surprise anyone. They finished with the worst record in the league. He will likely, this is probably the end of his coaching career. It's too bad because he had a hell of a run, Jim, but it's not the way you want to go out. But Pete Carroll is out as head coach of the Raiders. Kevin Stefanski's fired by the Browns. How about the Raheem Morris one being fired? Did you see that where after his press conference after the game yesterday when they won, he's hugging Arthur Blank and his kid? Like giving him big hugs and smiles and all that. 2 hours later, turfed. What a business, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can see with Carroll. Is there another one too?
Jonathan Gannon was fired by Arizona.
Okay.
About an hour ago.
All right. Well, that's understandable. I think Pete Carroll's understandable. I'm not so sure about the one in Cleveland and the one in Atlanta. Morris, I don't get that at all.
16 and 18.
Penix was hurt.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was a disaster. Now, remember, Morris was a candidate for Seattle's position. He had interviewed, and there was, because he was hired in the same cycle as Mike Macdonald. One more thing for you. Did you see the Myles Garrett sack?
I did not.
Oh, you didn't? Dang it.
No.
Now you got to go back and look at it. Tell me if you think that Joe Burrow pulled a Brett Favre. Because it looked that way to me.
Did he just kind of fall and not really get tackled?
I don't know. People don't think it's exactly like how I think it is, but it doesn't really look like he gives much of an effort to stay up. That he sees Myles Garrett and then kind of slides down.
But who would do that?
Oh, Brett Favre did it.
But can you imagine doing that? I'm going to give a guy a sack record, and I'm just going to kind of fall on my own, and he'll get credit for it. Unless, do you think maybe he's got some action with Garrett that he's going to get?
Maybe he's got some money? I think he's got some action with Garrett. Hey, I'm gonna go down and
you're going to get that incentive bonus for leading the league in sacks, and I get a share of that now.
All right. Godspeed to you. What's planned on the rest of the day for Jim Moore on a Friday, or excuse me, on a Monday?
God, not much. I'm kind of exhausted. I climbed to the top of Smith Rock yesterday.
Oh, it's a good one. I like Smith Rock.
They call it Misery Ridge Trail for good reason, apparently.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
Probably take a nap and then, watch you lose your smoking lock later on.
Go Bobcats.
Okay.
It's Illinois State. All right. Thank you, Jim Moore.
Okay, Puck. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. There he is, the go-to guy, which is brought to you by 3 great sponsors: Brotherton Cadillac, Angry Beaver, Clean Streak, and Bright Owl Lighting. All right, let's turn our attention to the Dugar Report with Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the Dugar Report, Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. You can follow him on social media at Mike Dugar. You can listen to him and watch him, Seahawks Man to Man podcast with our good friend Chris Kidd. And you can read him, the author of the franchise story on the Seattle Seahawks. Mike, how are you, sir? Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Can I still say Happy New Year? It's January 5th. Yeah, I think so.
It's still the new year, so yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks, Puck. How you doing?
All right, I'm doing great. Let's get right into it. Defense. I mean, you that's the takeaway from the game, right? How dominant they were defensively, Mike, and how dominant they've been all season long.
Yeah, that was like half the takeaway for me from the Niners game. The other half was just that they finally had the type of drive that me and Chris Kidd have been campaigning for. Why even when they win some of these games, that one of the first things we start the pod with is the run game. particularly in the fourth quarter, because we've seen enough football, and you have two to know that you need a drive like they had in the fourth quarter there. The 8-minute one. They didn't even score, and it's like probably their second best drive of the season outside of the overtime game against the Rams, the one that won it, because you did what good teams do. You kept the ball away from the other team. The other team can't score if they don't have it. Right? Sometimes football is just that simple. And they held the ball for 8 minutes, converted, I think, like 5 first downs, 3 of them running. 2 with Ken, I think 1 with Zach, converted 2 third downs, I think on both on throws to Cup, including a 3rd and long. And yeah, by the time they missed a field goal, it didn't matter. Both teams knew that game was over. And we haven't seen that this year with enough regularity. And it feels like they've gotten a lot of reps because they've been up so much in the fourth, and you can't just bomb it to Jacks, in those situations to put the game away. That doesn't, because time matters more than, all right, we just got a 40-yard ball to Jacks. Well, actually, we would rather that have been 5 9-yard plays or 5 8-yard plays or whatever to spread that out. So that and the defense are my takeaways. I think Zach and Ken have eclipsed 130 yards together in each of the last 3 games. We want to talk about a cliche of peaking at the right time. That element of the game, I think, is really important, along with the defense.
Let's stay with the defense, Mike. What is making it click and work so much right now?
Yeah, selfishly, I was rooting for Riley Leonard in the Sunday game, just because I did the math and I was like, if they get like 28 points or something like that, the Seahawks officially have the best scoring defense. Because I was telling somebody leaving the tunnel on Saturday, I was like, man, I just wish Houston didn't exist, so I wouldn't have to keep calling these guys one of the best defenses. I was like, let me just be able to call them the best, because Houston had them in every metric: EPA per play, points per drive, points allowed, which factors in defensive scores and other stuff like that too. But whatever. So I was like, dang, man, I just need them to be the best scoring defense, make my life easier. Well, thank God for Riley Leonard, dropped a 30 ball. And I bring that up because they are the best defense in the league in my mind. Whether they have the scoring title officially or not, that's just a nice, clean way to write it. But the way they go about taking away an opponent's strength is really special. And it's just really, really hard to do. I mean, you look at these teams when these guys go off. Look at the guys they've shut down. Jonathan Taylor's and Bijan Robinson, excuse me. Christian McCaffrey twice. Like Justin Jefferson, although everyone shuts him down this year. But the only guy who had a baseline and came in and did what he typically does against them, off the top of my head, I believe is Puka. In terms of guys who, all right, this is what you do every week. You did it against the Seahawks. Everyone else, go look at their per game averages, their receiving, rushing, passing. It was really just that. And Baker at the time against and Puka. That's it.
Which is
That's
so
really
funny,
it.
going back to the Tampa Bay game, thinking, how did Tampa Bay do anything against that defense that day?
Well, you look at who was on the field at the time, and that shows you,
right.
DeMarcus Lawrence should make the Pro Bowl just based on him missing the Tampa game. Look at what happened. They only got 1 QB hit, I think, in that game, and Baker dropped back.
Who else
like
missed
40
it?
times.
Were there some other guys that missed that game?
Yeah, a bunch of guys. Julian Love didn't play in that game.
Okay.
Spoon didn't play in that game. D Hall got hurt on the first drive. DeMarcus Lawrence didn't play at all. Reek got concussed. They were dropping like flies in that game, but particularly the pass rush was bad, in part because they did not have DeMarcus Lawrence. They had, like I said, 1 QB hit, and I think it came in the fourth quarter. So outside of those 2 games, even the other games that they lost, it's really hard for you as an opponent on offense to do what you do well. That's it. Like, if you take that away, you'll have a fighting chance every week. And they do that. Houston does that really well as well. But like the way the Seahawks do it and how multiple they are, and the fact that they don't have to match personnels. You could put 3 tight ends in, 1 tight end, 2 tight ends, whatever, 2 running backs, a fullback. It doesn't matter, because they got Nicky Manwari, Spoon, Byron Murphy, Leo, and they can just do anything they want against whatever you got. It's fascinating.
Have you seen a team tackle better than this defense?
Yeah, they tackle really well. That was another thing that did not go well in the Bucks game, by the way. They just didn't tackle well at all. I think it's really them. Sorry to keep bringing up Houston, but they're another team that they could see in the bowl if they get there, is Houston, because they do a lot of the same things. Like, I watch quite a bit of them because I just like good defense. I watch the good defenses around the league, and the way both teams are just really disciplined, and there's a lot of trust. And you can see why teams use that word when they describe their defenses, because there is a lot of trust involved, right? And you can miss a tackle, but sometimes it's how you miss. Like if you're running to the sideline and you got a tackle in open space, you want to attack, and you know that I got my guy to the left, the sideline's on my right. All right, let me try to, at least if I miss, let me force him back to Ernest or force him back to J Love. You know, same thing if you got a tackle in the hole, same thing, like know where your guys are and don't be greedy. You don't go for the kill shot, you miss. Now we're all out of position, you know, and that's why you don't see any teams get explosives on these guys. That was it. That's what made the Puka game so crazy, because it was just stuff we hadn't seen. But I think that's why their run defense is so good as well. Teams just cannot get explosive runs on these guys. The DBs tackle well. The linebackers aren't greedy. It's just amazing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they came across the stat. They think they showed it maybe on the telecast or not, but I guess I just forgot. I mean, it's been 26 games, I believe, is the streak where they haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher.
Something like that. Yeah, they definitely didn't do it this year at all.
No,
I think
not once.
The closest was, off the top of my head, I want to say Kyron got to 91 in the first Rams game, but he got like 75 of that in the first quarter.
Yeah, it was like those first few drives.
Yeah, they're just so good at that, man. It's really hard to beat a team when you have to just keep getting 4 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards. That's hard. And then their front is good. You know, this is easily, to me, this is the best defense in the league. And I just love the contrast of how they've done it differently than the Legion of Boom. That team just ran like 3 coverages. God bless you if you can complete a ball on us. These guys are like, we run a bunch of different coverages. You don't know what's coming. God bless you if you can complete a ball on us.
It's very confusing. I mean, even if you're not some like football elite mind, you sit there and watch it, and the way they line up, it's what offenses have been doing to defenses, Mike, is what it looks like to me. Right? That like pre-snap confusion and motion, things that we're going to do. We're going to give you a bunch of eye candy, but once the ball snap, you got something totally different coming at you. And that's what when I watch them defensively, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, you know, that's why I think that's why I'm so confident in this team. Maybe even if they don't win it this year, they're built in Mike Macdonald's image, right? Like the stuff that he says comes to life. You know, Sean McVay, I think in a podcast interview with us at The Athletic, my colleague Robert Mays, he said, like, when I played Mike Macdonald last year, you know, it's just after he got hired, Mike did. And Sean was like, yeah, when I played those guys with Baltimore, his defense, it was like there were 13 guys out there, you know? And it's like, you hire Mike, so that comes to life, you know? So he can bring that here. And he has done that. And not every coach who gets hired for their side of the ball or whatever brings that to the team, whether they're the coordinator or not, right? Like, look what Aaron Glenn did in Detroit and how great that defense was, even when they were shorthanded at times. I kept seeing all weekend they haven't had an interception all year, and that hasn't happened since like 1933 or something.
Incredible.
And look in the division. Jonathan Gannon's defense was great for the Eagles. Go look at what they're doing in Arizona. Give up 35 like every week, you know? So it's not a guarantee that the guy who you hire brings whatever got him hired to your franchise. And Mike has done that. And as long as he continues to do that, the offense can have its ebbs and flows. But as long as Mike continues to do that, this franchise is in very good hands.
Well, and I think it's that, but though with the combination of what the organization has done in the last few years in the draft. I mean, think about what they've done in the last 4 years in just the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft. Now, some of these are offensive players, but Gray Zabel, first round. Eamon Worry, second round. Murphy was a first round pick or second round pick? I can't remember.
First
round pick. Yeah. Then Witherspoon first, JSN first, Derek Hall second round, Charbonnet second round, Cross first round, Mafe second round, Walker second round. All those guys that we just mentioned that have been drafted in the first or second round of the last 4 drafts, every one of those guys had something on Saturday. Every one of them. Obviously, Walker's game, Mafe had the tip, right? Well, I guess Cross was the one that didn't play. Charbonnet was great. Derek Hall was everywhere defensively. JSN was solid. Witherspoon's flying around. Murphy's flying around. Even Worry's wrapping up everybody left and right. And Gray Zabel may have played his best game of the season. I mean, so it's the combination of what they've done from a front office personnel, and then they have just defensively have mirrored up perfectly of what Macdonald wants to do on defense.
Yeah, John, credit to John. He's done a really great job. I think with the premium picks, that was actually quietly a very notable um absence, I guess, from even his great run from 2010 to 2012. He got Earl and got Okung in that first draft, and then wasn't really getting first or second round value, with some of those other picks. Obviously Bobby was, a great second round pick, but like depends on how you feel about a guy like where Golden was taken, for instance. You would like that guy to re-sign with you, in theory. James Carpenter, as well. Even Bruce was a top 15 pick. You'd like that guy to be a no-brainer. You'd like him to be as good as Byron is right now. Like that would be the bar, I guess we can say. And now he's getting that value. Charles is of first round left tackle value. Byron is of first round defensive tackle value. Gray is of first round guard value. Eamon Worry as well. I don't know about D Hall where he was picked. You would like that guy to be a no-brainer. Resign it as well. Same with Zach and maybe even Elijah Arroyo too, though there's some time there. But to your larger point, for the most part, he is getting the value of those premium picks, which is important because that's how you win a bowl. Like in my mind, it's getting premium production out of premium picks. Devin Witherspoon's made the Pro Bowl every year. He's top 5 pick. That's the standard though for a top 5 pick. I want you to be perennial Pro Bowler, potential All Pro. That's the standard there. Like, so I think John's done a really good job with that, which I would say also is different from his first run where it was like it was great, but it was great in part because you found Russ in the 3rd, Cam in the 5th, Sherm in the 5th, KJ I believe in the 4th, Maxey in the 6th. So now he's flipping it a little bit, which I think is good again because that's how you just overwhelm teams every week like these guys are doing.
Would you say that was the perfect Sam Darnold game?
I hope that, man, it sucks because there's two ways to look at it. For one, I see why Mike Macdonald doesn't want to just go out there and tell Sam, don't turn it over, right? Like that makes perfect sense. I've been using the analogy from one of my favorite movies, Inception, where there's a scene in it with Leonardo DiCaprio. He tells the guy, hey, don't think about elephants. And he asks the guy, what are you thinking about? He's like, well, elephants, right? Right, because I just told you not to. Same thing with Sam, I would imagine, with turnovers. You go tell your guy, hey, come on now, let's protect the ball. Well, what's he going to do, Puck? Now he's going to think about not turning it over. He just can't play quarterback like that. He can't. But at the same time, you see what happens if he just doesn't turn it over, the other team is probably not going to score enough for you guys to lose, So I get why there's the messaging internally, I would imagine. But from my chair, I'm just like, man, honestly, hopefully Sam saw that game and is like, if I just go out there and don't screw up, this defense and special teams, Jason Myers hiccups aside, are enough to win you championships, especially if the run game is going to run like that.
Even though he didn't force a turnover, I did think there was they seemed to be, and this is the small nitpick from the game, at times maybe a hesitancy to push it downfield a little bit just because in the back of his mind was don't turn it over, don't turn it over, don't turn it over. Now, I don't know if you can survive that way throughout the playoffs when you need him to probably make a throw or two where it's going to be a little dicey, but you need it. But I thought there were several plays. There was a scramble that he got out of that ends up getting a first down for him and avoids a sack. I do think, again, it's not his greatest throw, but I hope people understand what I'm trying to articulate here. I think it was one of the biggest moments of his career. He hasn't had a lot of these moments in his career of being in these types of games. But if you remember on the final drive that you started off our conversation with, how that was just they haven't had a drive like that this year. They were facing a 3rd and 10. It's at the Niners 36. Again, hey, they're still up by, what's the score at that point? It's 13-3. It's a 10-point game still. So, God, if they turn it over there, Niners get it back. Maybe they go down the field and all of a sudden it's a different game. He scrambles out to his right. He looks back over the middle and he finds Cooper Kupp. They pick up 12 for the first down. I just thought, again, not his most impressive throw he's ever made, but maybe play, and maybe for him, because he hasn't had a lot of those moments where he's had to make a play to secure a win, and that play right there secured the win for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And that play picked up 24 yards. That was massive, massive game. Yeah. That was, but that I think was an example of he's not afraid to let it fly, and they're not afraid to have him let it fly, because if they were, to your point of where that was, He could easily have just run a draw to Zach Charbonnet, picked up whatever yards, put Jason back out there, because at that point he had only just missed one kick, and then gone up 16-3, and with, I don't know, 3 minutes left or 4, whatever that was, and been fine. People would have, called out Kubiak for being conservative or whatever, and then some people would have been like, guys, the other team has 3 points. we don't need to go get a touchdown here, although it'd be nice. But that was an example, I think, of Sam can let it rip, that game. I think he just felt the game very well. And that's what you need sometimes. Sometimes you're going to get in games like the Rams game in Seattle or the Bucs game where it's like, okay, we got to score 30 today, folks. Or you get in games like there was on Saturday where it's like, whoa, okay, we're running it well. They can't move the ball. I mean, we can not keep away is too strong, but you get the sentiment there. It's like, we don't need to take a bunch of risks today. Let's just run our stuff. And when the clock hits 0, they're probably just still going to have 3 points. I think quarterbacks have to do that sometimes. It's particularly quarterbacks like Sam or like Jared Goff or Jalen Hurts. Some of these guys who are just like, okay, you're good. That's why we have you. You're making 9 figures because we love you. But you're also not Superman, So if we don't need you to be Superman today, then don't. Let's just hand it off, play great defense. What Pete Carroll say, complete the circle of toughness. That was, Pete wasn't wrong about a lot of the philosophy stuff. He just wasn't doing it anymore. His teams weren't, I should say. Mike's team is doing a lot of that stuff. They play great special teams. They're one of the best in the league. They play great defense, and now they're running the ball. It really is Pete ball all over again, just with Mike Macdonald's spin. And again, that was also the goal, is to find someone who could just do that stuff better.
Well, do we agree on this next statement / comment that the Rams are the one team that Seattle needs to be fearful of in all of this?
Yeah. Fearful, I don't know. That may be strong. But yeah, if there's a team you do want to not play again, it's probably the Rams, just because of what we mentioned at the top of the show. Is there is a team that operated at their normal baseline level and arguably above. I think not even arguably, Puka, that's probably the best game of his career against Seattle. And then Stafford, I don't know if he's thrown for more yards in a game than he did in that Seahawks game in overtime. So, yeah, and that was without Devontae Adams as well, who probably will play in the playoffs. So, yeah, if there is a team, it's probably them that you're like, we can beat anybody, but let's just not have to do that.
They make me the most nervous. That's just, to me, is and just the way they see this stuff, which just drives me insane. The fact, in all likelihood, that's who you're going to see in the divisional round. If it all goes chalk, that's what you're going to see. Because the Eagles are favored to beat the Niners, Bears are favored to beat the Packers, and the Rams are favored to beat Carolina. So coming into town, the de facto NFC championship game is going to be the divisional round between the Rams and the Seahawks.
So I do think, here's the other thing why the Rams are scary. It's not just the Puka and Matthew Stafford. It also is, they have the best, I think, combination of coordinator, duo, and talent. Because I do think Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan is just as good as Sean McVay and Chris Shula, the Rams DC. Saleh is just working with a bunch of backups. The Seahawks ran the ball so hard against the Niners on Saturday, they just ran out of linebackers. Their linebackers were dropping like flies by the fourth quarter. That wasn't an accident. That's why you draft a fullback and run it from under center. And so I don't want guys to get hurt, but that's why you play that physical brand of ball. But the way Chris Shula is able to get to Sam, I think, is also why I would be a little bit worried about them. He's thrown 6 picks in 2 games against the Rams. That's a notable number to me.
Right. They were being handled until the second half. And, you can call it whatever. They won the game. And you can say they were lucky, fortunate, whatever. But they got an advantageous bounce and a play by Charbonnet to go their way. If that doesn't happen, they likely lose. My point is, and I think we can all agree on this one, that it's a razor thin difference between the two teams. And I just want to avoid them at all costs. So please, Bryce Young and Carolina, do it like you did it early in the season. Take them out, or the Packers take out the Bears, or the Niners. I'd rather see the Niners a second time in 3 weeks. Give me the Niners if they can somehow knock off Philadelphia. Because I do strongly believe if they dispatch of the Rams, that to me is their toughest test. And I think I think people in this town should be planning a parade because I think that's the one team that stands in the way as long as they don't suffer any injuries or something like that. And I know and freaky and weird things happen in the playoffs, but I do. That's the number one boogeyman right now.
Yeah, the other one would be if they had to play. Well, every team, a lot of the teams could give them some issues. The Bears are very turnover heavy. Like when their defense turns it over, they're very hard to beat. But when they don't, you can just score 40 on them, like Brock did a couple weeks ago. But the thing is how does Sam handle a defense like that? That is advantageous. Their DBs can catch because Sam has benefited a few times now from just DBs not being able to catch the ball.
Yes, he has.
Every quarterback does that, but Sam and Stafford, I think, benefit probably as much as any quarterback in the league. There, Baker as well earlier in the year too. So that could get a little tricky because they're better than the Bears, but you give away a couple possessions with some funky fumbles or just whatever, anybody can get to you. And then the Eagles secondary is very good. Like quietly, the Seahawks receiver room is not playing well as a whole, running routes and catching the ball. Jax is playing well. And that's about it in terms of that particular part of their job, running and getting open. They're not doing that at a very high level. I would say it's okay. To beat the Eagles, you would need them to do that at a high level. Cooper DeJean can cover. Quinyon Mitchell can cover. They would need to bring their A game, which they did against Houston, which secondary is probably just as good. They would just need to do it again. But if you can't, that could get ugly as well. And that's another team that has a good pass rush. So I think they should be favored against anyone they play. But yeah, there are some matchups where there's certain things that the other team does, superpowers that they have that could get to a few drawbacks that the Seahawks offense has in particular.
All right. Where can people read you, watch you, listen to you all this week and for the next 2 weeks as we lead up into the divisional round?
Yeah, make sure you follow me at Mike Dugar on X or whatever Elon's calling that. All my stuff is usually up on there. We got new pods coming this week. I think we got our new ones up now, Up in Smoke, our recap. I kind of went behind the scenes a little bit of what it was like being in the locker room on Saturday, which was a nice juxtaposition, I should say, to the 2023 team that smoked cigars after not even making the playoffs. It was kind of cool to see the evolution 2 years later. So that's up now wherever podcasts are available. Also on our YouTube channel. We have to have The Athletic. We have to have like a feature every week now. When your team about to play a playoff game, if they win, you got to do another one. Mine this week should be on John Snyder. I don't like to make arguments, like argument columns, like MVP, offensive coach of the year, exec, stuff like that. But I will talk about John. I do think he had one of his worst off seasons, I would say, from a talent acquisition standpoint in 2024. But 2025 might be one of his best. So nice bounce back from him as well. So I'll write about that this week. Like, I'm not going to argue for exec because that means you have to lay out cases for the other guys too. And I just don't feel like rehashing the Patriots and Bears moves from the offseason. But John has a good case. He has a really strong case. He had a great year.
Wonderful stuff. Thanks, Mike. We'll follow along. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Puck. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. There he is, Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. And again, joins us weekly, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. Makers of Mayonnaise Pale Ale, Bodhisattva, Rogers Pilsner, and the new Tavern Beer Tasting Room. Beer Garden open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit them at georgetownbeer.com. Check them out. Again, Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast on all podcast platforms throughout the week. And, of course, Mike's work up at The Athletic. Go visit theathletic.com. Before we get to On This Day, and, of course, Hey, What the Puck, other things to update you on. We have an announced winner, an announcement on the Puck Survivor. We had a 4-way tie for first place between Mickey Hill, Tracy Kajimura, Kane Thomas, and Nick Binyek. As we stated on the contest page, the tiebreakers scenario was going to be simple. It was just who registered first, and that was how the tiebreaker went. So whoever got in and registered for Puck Survivor the first, that was going to settle the tie-breaking scenario. So with that said, in our first Puck Survivor, again with the grand prize of $500 in cash, a second place prize going $100 to John Howie Steak, third place $50 to Georgetown Brewery, and fourth place is $50 to Flat Stick Pub. Finishing in fourth place, going to get a $50 gift card to Flat Stick Pub, Neil Benyak. Congratulations to Neil. Third place, getting $50 to Georgetown Brewery, is Kane Thomas. Second place, I need a drum roll. That's a terrible drum roll. Second place with a $100 gift card to John Howie Steak, Tracy Kajimura. And that means, and Tracy, I apologize if I'm butchering your last name. In first place, Mickey Hill. Congratulations to Mickey Hill. A grand prize of $500 in cold, hard cash. Congratulations to Neil, Kane, Tracy, and Mickey, and to all of you who participated in the first Puck Survivor. Big thanks. Big thanks. We could not have done it without the folks over there at Sandman Sports. Please go visit sandmansports.com. They've got you covered on all things sports, sports analysis, in-depth articles, terrific podcasts, and great expert betting advice. No better place for your sports, consumption than Sandman Sports, sandmansports.com. Congratulations, Mickey Hill. $500 fatter there in the wallet. We'll send all those prizes out later this week. All right. On this day, January 5th, 1927, the 3-day public hearing for all you baseball people, if you remember this, 3-day hearing starts with MLB Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis on this day, on January 5th, 1927, on charges that the 4 games played between the White Sox and Tigers in 1917 had been thrown. So that's taking place on this date, 1927. On this day, January 5th, 1996, Don Shula, longtime NFL head coach, retires. 2-time Super Bowl champion, wins one with the Colts, wins another one with the Dolphins. 4-time NFL Coach of the Year, overall record 347, 173, and 6. Happy birthday going out on this day, January 5th. Robert Duvall, famed actor, turns 95 today. Starred in The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, Taxi Driver. Great actor, Robert Duvall. Also celebrating a birthday on January 5th, Chuck Noll. Chuck Noll would have been 93 years young today. Legendary Steelers coach passed away on June 13th, 2014. 4-time Super Bowl champion. Also celebrating a birthday on January 5th, Rick Booten Tootin, Seahawks punter. He tragically passed away in Costa Rica back in 2017. But Richard Lamar Tootin would have been 60 today, played for 7 different teams in his career. He spent 7 different teams in his career. He spent 7 seasons in Seattle. While with the Seahawks, you remember how big Tootin was? He was huge. He won the designation as the league's strongest man, pound for pound, in Flex magazine. Rick Booten Tootin. All right, that was on this day. Now we turn our attention to Hey, What the Puck, which is brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. They are going to let you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services, locally owned and operated. Make them your first call. Reach out to them at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. What an incredible turnaround by John Schneider and Mike Macdonald in the 2 years that those two have been together. 11 years after having the number 1 overall seed in the NFC, they're back at it, and they're back with the number 1 seed, and they're back with a clear path to the Super Bowl, and the Seahawks officially are back. 16 years in the front office. John Schneider has had exactly 3 losing seasons, and 2 of those happened in his first 2 years. 10 of the 16 seasons that he's been the general manager, now president of the organization, 10 of the 16 seasons, double-digit wins. Third time they're the number 1 overall seed, 6-time division title winner. A lot has been discussed and debated, about his ability to turn this franchise back around once they moved on from Pete Carroll, and the pressure was placed solely on John Schneider. And he has delivered. And regardless, I think, of what happens here in the playoffs, they have by far and away exceeded expectations. As we go back to what we talked about earlier, to start the season, Vegas said Most outlets said 7.5 wins, 8.5 wins. They finished with 14. So I don't really, I want them to win the whole thing, but I think it has been a successful season, and it's been successful under Schneider, under also Mike Macdonald. They have ended with 14. Should they get to the Super Bowl? Yes. They've got a 50% chance to get there. The divisional game that we talked about before against the Rams, that is the NFC Championship game, if that indeed is the game. If they get past that, which is, I believe, their biggest roadblock, get past that, and I think you can plan for the parade. That's Hey What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One. Reach out to it, restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. They are going to help you avoid the stress of any damage to your commercial or residential property with water, fire, or mold damage. Restoration1.com. Big thanks to everybody watching and listening to Monday's show. Thank you to all our sponsors: Limback Lumber, Flat Stick Pub, Georgetown Brewery, Restoration One. Big thanks to Jim's sponsors. Jim joins us on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Clean Streak and Bright Owl Lighting. Thank you, Brian Turner. Brotherton Cadillac. Thank you, Brad Brotherton. And the Angry Beaver. Big thanks to the folks there at the Angry Beaver, Matt Baker and the crew. Today's Daily Puck Drop, find it up on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. You may be watching live or watching the videos later and not a subscriber. It's not going to do you any harm by hitting that subscribe button. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment. We get to as many as we possibly can there on YouTube. You can also find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple and Spotify, and of course, find everything up at pucksports.com. When you're there, please sign up to become a member of the Pucks Posse. It's just $5 a month. That's it. You support all the free content we do every single day. No one gives you more free content than this. In addition, we give you baseball. We give you bonus shows throughout the week. Of course, with Inside Pitch with Ryan Divish back this Wednesday. Also coming back, KJ Arntz on Thursday. We are going to bring back the Sports Pit every week. It's going to have a little different twist on it. We'll explain it this week, but the Sports Pit will be back this week as well. Also, check out the Graz with Gas Take 5 podcast, which is produced by Puck Sports. New episodes every Monday. One will be coming out later today. You can find that on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Just search Graz with Gas Take 5. And, of course, find all of the content up at pucksports.com. We're off to a great start of the new year. We appreciate the support, watching and listening, and all of it. It's going to be a fun ride here in the next few weeks, is it not? And it's going to lead right up to pitchers and catchers reporting like February 14th. It's unbelievable. What a great time. What a great year it's been for Seattle sports. All right, we will talk to you tomorrow on a Tuesday show. It will include a visit with John Canzano from johncanzano.com. Talk all things college football. Of course, the playoffs coming up this week. New additions to Kirby Moore's staff. He has a story up at johncanzano.com right now about some new potential additions and changes coming to the Pac-12. Give that a look there at johncanzano.com. And then Danny Kelly from The Ringer. He is still high and drunk after watching the Seahawks win on Saturday. We'll see if he's sobered up before tomorrow's appearance here on the Daily Puck Drop. We'll see you tomorrow. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to love. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you, but you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We like to sell out of anywhere.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!